sometimes to think twice and act once when it comes to materials that maybe is too hard or too expensive to replace. And I was looking at this steel sheeting, which is what I'm talking about, and looking at the piano hinge. Here's that 3-foot mark that I was just mentioning. But if you look at where the end of the metal reaches, it's almost exactly 3 feet. But the contour of the piece is not. This part, in other words, doesn't come up to the 3. So all this corner from here over would be sticking out above this piece. So that would be butt ugly. We don't want that. So even though we want to make sure this is secure, but I'm going to cut it a little shy of that. I'm going to maybe cut the hinge to this hole, or maybe cut the hinge to this hole, and leave the butt of it flush against the bottom of it. I'm going to think about that. I'm going to go look at my solar oven and see how they did it, and consider how they did it, and see if it matches my needs too. Okay, we're looking at the solar oven flanges right now. They actually have a very short hinge on their side panels. Of course, their side panels is considerably smaller than what I'll be working with. They've only got 3 rivets through their piano hinge, and it's a good, say, 1.5 inches from the end of the material. So I think I can get away with at least that much, because I'm going to be putting a lot more rivets in mine all the way down through rather than just 3. Okay. I'm marking my triangular reflector corners to what direction they're supposed to be facing. Because as I turn them around and put trim on them, whatever I want to do, I may lose their configuration in the global scheme here. So I want to make sure that I don't put the wrong side on the wrong spot. A little grease pencil again. With the pony clamps on the material, I took up the gap with a wooden wedge. Now I can drill without bending these edges. For the flange, I only have 3 layers I'm going through. The galvanized tin sheet itself and the 2 sides of the nice white edging that we made out of roof trim. And so I'm using a smaller rivet on that one, and it also has a decorated end on it that's white. And this one is a 1/8 inch or 3 millimeter diameter, and the grip range is also 1/8 inch. Should be enough. We'll give it a try. Yeah, that 1/8 inch diameter rivet with the 1/8 inch grip range is it worked just fine on this thin side panel for the triangular side panels. Now the trim on the flange, of course, is going to overlap because your trim is rectangular and your flange is triangular. So you have this little bit of overlap. You can either pound it over, or since I have the electric tool that helps, I've been trimming it off. So it's nice and level with the angle of the triangular flange. And talk about major foot stompers. Those are going in the trash right away. trying to find the center of this so I can be sure to put this little piece of flange on correctly. And to me it's like an optical illusion, because I think my eye wants to lean toward the body of the flange instead of what is actually the center of the bottom line. Because when I measured, I thought center should be around here. And here it turns out it's here as compared. But because this goes in, I'm thinking, no, that can't be center. It's got to be more out here. So I'm glad I measured it. Make sure when you're marking your materials that you mark it far enough inside the material that any borders won't cover it up. This is going to be covered up about halfway, so I've got to move this down a little bit right here. There you go. Inside north. That's for my point on this end. Well, I went ahead and want to get out, working back on those panels, the little triangular side panels. They're kind of sharp on the edges still, here and there. So what I'm doing is I'm using my, have a rolling cutter that I would use in my crafting, and I'm just cutting off some lengths of the HVAC tape to use on the edges out there. Keep the finger nicks down as much as possible. I poked my finger a good one yesterday, and of course everything is always by accident, right? Well, that accident was mine because I didn't have my gloves on. So I take full responsibility for that quote-unquote accident. But lesson learned. Now that I have the lengths, they're cut in about a foot length, I'm going to trim them down in half because I only don't need a full 2 inches on here. So I'm going to cut them into 1 inch length. These rolling cutters are really nice. You can use them for all kinds of stuff. Some ladies use them for cards, to make Christmas cards and scrapbooking, and here I'm using them for a hot water project. There it goes again, trying to find multiple uses for the same thing. Several years back, when I was a lot younger, I took a survival class, a wilderness survival class, and the instructor said it's important that everything you take you really need, first of all, and she said make sure that everything has multiple uses. Everything should have at least 2 uses in your pack. Otherwise you can't justify carrying it around. Well, this little cutter has certainly had a lot of uses. I like it a lot. It's called a rotary cutter. Anyway, it has a safety cover. Slide in and off. And we're done with that. I think I've got enough strips to go out there now. Alright.